If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. If you're a returning viewer, then cheers to you. Thank you always for taking the time to watch my videos. Grab your teacups or your coffee mugs and your cozy blankets, and let's get to it. Onward! For the past 2 years, I have read 50 books a year. Reading has added so much value and joy to my life. I've learned and grown so much from these stories, specifically in the self-confidence realm. Anytime I read a book, I kind of see the world through the perspective of that book, and this really helps me in decision making. If ever I'm stuck or confused, I think, what would Harry do? Or what would Peter Jenkins do? You know, I kind of just see the world through the best parts of their perspective. Oh man, that feels so silly to say, but it's true. That's just what comes with reading and when you take the time to truly enjoy and appreciate another's story. Reading has also helped to connect me to so many fellow book lovers and grow this YouTube channel. It's just all around been one of the best parts of my life. So without further ado, how can we read more books? The first tip that I have is to design your own bookshelf or master list. Now, I'm not saying that you need to pick all 50 books that you want to read for the rest of the year at the beginning of the year. Definitely don't do that. I strongly believe in just going with the flow and reading whatever best suits your life at the moment. And what I do mean is to come up with a creative way to track every book that you read. One that makes you excited to read more and check books off your list. So in 2018, I designed a bookshelf in my bullet journal where I went in and filled in books that I read throughout the year. So it kind of motivated me to fill the bookshelf, and it was also just really satisfying to read one, write it down, and color it in. This year, or in 2019, I made a master list of all the books that I read, and then I hung it above my desk so I saw it every single day. And as I read a book, I would write it down with the author and then rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. And then I also recorded how many pages or the duration of the book, so that at the end of the year, right now, I could tally up exactly how many pages I read and how many hours I spent listening to books. My next tip is to outline a reading calendar. This doesn't have to be super descriptive or detailed. For me, my goal is to reach 50 books in 1 year, and I know that there are 52 books in 1 year. So I just need to read about 1 book a week with a little bit of wiggle room, and that is my reading calendar. Next, it's important to build a routine. So doing this challenge for the past 2 years, I've learned that I get the most reading done if I read 4 books at a time throughout 1 full month. So I begin all 4 books at the beginning of the month, and then by the end of the month, I finish all 4 books. Reading this many books at once keeps things interesting and helps prevent burnout or boredom. Each of these 4 books fits in a different category, so I cover a lot of ground while staying interested and not overwhelmed. This is my day-to-day breakdown. So in the mornings, I will set a timer for 20 minutes and read a nonfiction book. Usually it's a self-help book, or as I like to call them, best life book, or a book on health. In 2019, I became really interested in women's health, specifically how to balance hormones through diet, exercise, and beauty products. Also, I enjoyed books on herbology. Is that just a Harry Potter thing? Basically the medicinal properties of plants. Or I'll read a book on a theory that interests me. So recently, reincarnation has absolutely fascinated me. Once that 20 minutes is up, I'll then reset the timer and spend 20 minutes practicing Spanish. Right now, that looks like reading my favorite non-fictional books in the Spanish translation version, or reading textbooks and workbooks and studying vocabulary. I really enjoy the Spanish for Dummies series. And then in the evenings before going to bed, I'll usually spend about 30 minutes reading an easy fictional book. Right now I'm reading A Gentleman in Moscow, and I'm really enjoying it. It was gifted to me by a dear friend. Thank you, Connie. And for the 4th book, I'm always listening to an audiobook when I get ready in the mornings or on my commutes to and from work, which conveniently brings me to my next step. Audiobooks. Use audiobooks to help you reach your reading goal. Some people feel that audiobooks don't count, and I completely disagree. In listening to an audiobook, you're still dedicating a significant amount of time to getting to know a story. Audiobooks enable you to enjoy a book when you're super pressed for time. So basically, someone who really would like to read more, but literally does not have the time to sit down with a book and just read. Through audiobooks, they can actually achieve their reading goal. They're also super fun. My personal favorite voice actor is Jim Kay. Nope, that is the illustrator. My personal favorite voice actor is Jim Dale. He reads the Harry Potter series, as well as a really great version of Peter Pan, and the Book of Beginnings trilogy, which I love. If you haven't read or listened to it, I so highly recommend that trilogy. So I personally love Audible. It is $15 a month, and with that $15 a month payment, you get 1 credit, so you can use that credit to buy any book Audible has to offer. And then beyond that, you can just buy books. You're not limited to 1 a month. You can just buy however many you want. It is wonderful. Beyond that, if you have a public library card, you can download, there's so many apps, but the 2 that I've used are Libby and Hoopla. These are great apps that will allow you to check out an audiobook. But if it's currently being used, you have to wait a significant amount of time, and then you only have it for a specific amount of time. Not sponsored, by the way. On the topic of apps, another super helpful app I have to get me through my reading is Forest. This app is so great for productivity. It's great for when you don't want to be distracted by your phone. So basically, you set a timer anywhere from 10 to 120 minutes and choose a plant or tree you'd like to plant during that time. The longer you set your timer, the bigger the plant becomes and the more points you earn. When you start the timer, you have 10 seconds to change your mind, but once it's set, you cannot close out of the app or access anything else on your phone, or your plant will die and you'll lose all of your points. This makes me so sad when that happens. If you succeed, you'll have a lovely new plant by the time you've finished your reading. Gradually, you can grow a forest and win all sorts of medals and awards. Eventually, when you collect enough points, you can actually have a real tree planted in an area in need. I am so close. I'm also totally addicted to building my own forest. And my next helpful tip is to tell people. Tell your close friends and your family. You're not bragging, you're just holding yourself accountable. The more people you tell, the more inspired you'll be to actually get it done. You could even challenge a friend to try and read 50 books with you. And you'll probably inspire others to read more. Tip number 7, a great way to read more is to learn something new. I know that sounds backwards, but what I mean is pick something that you're really interested in, whether it's a hobby, a new topic, a popular trend, whatever, something that interests you, and then treat yourself to a visit to your local bookstore where you can have a peruse and pick out a book on that topic. One of these topics for me in 2019 was backpacking. I read many how-tos and then lots of autobiographical accounts of people and their backpacking adventures. Oh man, it was so inspiring. This year, I'm excited to learn how to draw, and I've already started a how-to. So I'm about, 7 pages in of that flow book that I bought at Powell's. I think it's how to paint your beautiful ordinary life, and it's very basic and therapeutic, and I'm so excited to see how I improve by the end of it. A really exciting tip is to read in fun places. This has totally helped me through any sort of reading slump that I've fallen into. Research local tea and coffee shops, or maybe a cool public library or a quirky local bookshop. Make a list of the top 10 places that you would like to visit, and then throughout the year, spend a day, go there and just read. I always feel so cinematic anytime I do this, and frankly, it's something that we just don't do enough. It's so therapeutic to just go and sit in a coffee shop and read your book and sip your tea. And play French music. That definitely adds some great ambiance. And for my 9th tip, this is a super important reminder. You do not have to finish a book if it bores you to death. Seriously, there are so many books in the world. Dabble here and there and figure out what you love. Do not limit yourself. If you're really not enjoying a book, then it's just not worth finishing. Continue on to the next one. Efficiency is key. And for my last tip, just spilled my tea. And for my last tip, you don't have to read 50 books. I was having a lot of trouble coming up with the 10th tip, so I asked Landon for advice, and he said exactly that. I don't want to read 50 books. 12 is more my speed. So his goal is 1 book a month, and I totally agree with that. Step back and take a look at your life and determine what's most realistic. It's important not to set yourself up for failure by setting this insane goal. It's good to be optimistic, but also reasonable. For me, I spent 4 years studying books, and that really trained me to prioritize reading even through a hectic schedule. You just do you, because you know what? I think that you are amazing. And the fact that you're here watching this video and you're interested in improving and just learning more speaks volumes. And to that, I raise my tea mug. So those are my tips. I really hope you found them helpful. And if you're still here, thank you so much for taking the time to sit through this video. I really hope that you gained something. If you want, share some book recommendations. I'm really excited to build a list for 2019. I've also just created a Goodreads that I will link below, and I'm thinking of doing a monthly book club. So there are many good things to come. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. I post 2 videos a week, 1 bookish video, and then usually a vlog of some sort that also includes reading and tea and all the good things. So again, thank you so much for being here. Cheers to you, my dear friends.